Hey, how's it going? So I did this interview with Dewveall way too long ago. Over the last several months, we have moved, and I've moved into this new studio space here. But without further ado, let's get into this long conversation where Jonathan and I talk about anything and everything as it relates to songwriting, creativity, life as a musician, and connecting with other people.
So you did a surprise release of a song today.
Oh yeah, yesterday. But
Okay, yesterday.
yeah,
I must have it didn't come up in my feed, I guess, until today.
till today. That's that's how it works.
Yeah.
So this secret release is called. I'm gonna try to pronounce it in a way. I haven't decided how I want to pronounce it yet. Maybe Tian Ilo O, maybe. But also maybe Thin Ilo O.
Yeah.
But it is, so last year for Christmas, which is a holiday that I have a lot of trouble with. I know we've talked about stuff like that before. I released Oh Holy Night. And this is a mirror version of that. It's like the same track as last year. It's a remix. And that's partly why I decided to just kind of secret drop it as opposed to like make a really big stink about it, you know? But it's a remix of last year's song that is in reverse. But it's not like fully reversed. Like if you just reverse the one, it wouldn't fully match up with last year's version, because I like reversed the dry stuff, but then reapplied reverbs and whatnot. So those are all not in reverse.
Gotcha. I was wondering how you got that.
Yeah. And just in general, like the very first version, the regular Oh Holy Night version, I played around with like reamping my vocals and running them through some guitar pedals to kind of create this psychedelic, like washy thing going on. So some of that plays into the reverse stuff too. But yeah, that was kind of my thinking. I was just experimenting, letting myself go. It was not a like high pressure release for me. Neither of them were. It was just kind of like, let's try to do something fun and make a statement about all of the spiritual ambiguity that I have around Christmas. So
yeah. Well, yeah, it's super cool. It's like super ethereal sounding, and it's like, but it's such a unique like texture. That was the thing. And reamping through guitar pedals is such a great idea.
I've played around with reamping guitars. I'm not a great guitar player or anything, but that was the first time I'd ever tried to do it with vocals, and like sent the vocals out through my amp and played around with mic placements and I don't know. I just kind of got engineer nerdy with it.
Yeah. Well, that's not to go off in too much of a tangent here, but I mean, that's the thing that I miss about, at least for me, it was like high school years where it was me and my best friend were playing music every day, recording, performing, whatever it was. And every recording that we did 11 song album using this Tascam, like 8-track mixer where it's like a little like green screen.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you had to control everything.
Yeah.
The mix, the balance, reverb, everything was done through this like, calculator screen.
Which is a step up from what I started on. I had like the cassette 4-track Tascam.
Oh yeah.
The blue, like what, Mark II or something. Yeah. It was fun.
And it had the red and yellow button and the black buttons, and then the rest of it was like that navy blue. Is that the one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was but like those are the kinds of things where, we taped vocal mics, just dynamic vocal mics to the ceiling for overheads.
Oh, wow.
And,
Like
but it's
duct
like,
tape?
yeah, I mean, but it's like,
Nice.
we didn't have the mic stands,
Yeah.
but it's just that kind of experimenting where you just don't think about it, you just do it, that I think it's much harder for some reason to have fun with doing things like that as you get older.
Yeah. And so part of my thing when I started working on those, on Oh Holy Night and a few other songs, that was really just trying to learn my space. I'm not a great recording engineer. Most of the time when I'm doing something like I deem to be like an official release, I do it in another studio. I don't do it at home because I don't have the gear. I don't have the know-how. But those were the experiments, to learn my space, learn how to get something that sounds cool with nothing. And that's really creative, fun stuff. So
yeah, that's super cool, man. Well, it's a super fun track. And it made me think about like, man, you got a track done and out pretty quick since last time we saw each other. And I know I was telling you, I had ambitious goals of getting this single out by Halloween, and it happened on Spotify, nowhere else, but it happened on Spotify.
Which I heard that track and I really dug it. I liked it a lot. And I think you were saying that one of the things you wanted to accomplish with that track was to kind of show off the type of stuff that you want to do. Is that right? Like the type of guitar work that you like are drawn to and maybe want to get more.
Yeah. I mean, it's super self-indulgent, but it's different than the stuff that I actually like play for work. And so like, this is more of like, this is where I would like to be.
Yeah.
Is mostly doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So. Well, I dig it. I like it a lot. Man. It reminded me a lot of, I don't know. Have you ever heard of Wayne Krantz?
Oh, yeah.
As I was listening, I was like, oh man, this is like the type of stuff that I always enjoyed about like those Wayne Krantz records that him and his trio would just like record in the bar in New York City or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, man. It's a fun little spooky track.
Yeah.
So you let AI or like some sort of AI, was it ChatGPT or was it
mostly ChatGPT? Yeah. Essentially I let ChatGPT become my social media manager for about a month and a half. I do these used to be monthly conversations. Now they're kind of infrequently, but I do these conversations that I host online about mostly difficult topics, faith, politics, etc. But every now and then we sprinkle in like a fun topic, especially when things get like really heavy. When we've done like death and the meaning of life,
wow.
For
awesome.
2 in a row. So someone suggested AI as the topic. And yeah, usually when I've got my topic, I try to like go full in, read a book or two, listen to a bunch of podcasts and whatnot about that topic. But for this one, I just said, what better way than to just like use AI for something that maybe it would be useful to do.
Yeah. I mean, that's it makes me nervous almost for you, like kind of releasing control. Like, I guess that's just also part of the fear in general of AI. But I mean, why are more people not doing it? And maybe they are and just not talking about it, but like, what a great way to like get yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Than to do something like that and release, control, to see what it feels like, what comes of that. But that's just super interesting. And so I'm trying to take notes of that. So I'm trying different more subtle things. I'm just trying to keep things a lot shorter and chopped up. I love long form content personally.
Mhm.
I like all the in between cutting up and bullshit and whatever, but
Yeah.
most people don't. And the algorithm hates that.
Of
Hates
course. Of course.
because it's like, yeah, I mean, it goes against everything that YouTube and whoever, I mean, it goes against everything. They, the quicker the stuff, the more ads they can put in there. And if I have one life goal, it's like avoid being advertised to.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I just, more than anything. And I'm fine even paying for it. And I know that that's like, they're getting my money, but I'll pay whatever it is. I don't care.
Yeah.
If I don't have it, I'll pay it. I just don't want to be advertised to all the time. And I think it's mainly because I'm a sucker. And I fall for it.
You realize your weakness. That's.
I mean, yeah. Look, I have no self-control.
Oh, man.
I mean, like, I'm not going to pretend, like I haven't spent every dollar I've ever made on just more gear.
Right.
Um,
Thankfully, I got married young enough to curb that. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, lucky for me, I guess. My wife just lets me do whatever I want. But sometimes I'm like, you need to tell me no sometimes. I'm just going to keep buying things. Like, I really was interested in asking you to talk about where you draw your inspiration from and what your writing process is like. Some people rely on being inspired to kind of inform a song. And then there's some situations that I know we've both been in where the goal is to write a song. So you got to find that inspiration. So how do you go about doing that?
I think most of the time it is, I would say, relying on inspiration. Like you said, I've been in situations where I've written just to write. I've tried to set the goals of like, I'm going to just write a song and not really care if it's any good or whatever, but just to write a song, I've done some co-writing in the past, especially for stuff that is not a song that I'm planning on using, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or writing for other people. And those are the times when I'm like, not necessarily, I'm looking for inspiration, but I'm not necessarily like relying on it.
Mm-hmm.
But those typically don't end up being the songs that really resonate with me in the end.
Yeah.
So at least for stuff that I am putting out on my own, it's always kind of been inspiration driven. And that sometimes, unfortunately, means it takes like years to finish a song because I may not be happy, or I may have like a really solid chorus or a really solid first verse and chorus, but can't figure out how to continue the story. And you just gotta like shelve it for a little bit. And then I'll be in the shower one day, kind of humming along to it. And all of a sudden it'll come to me and I'm like jumping out, trying to figure out some way to write down or record what I sing in the shower so that I don't forget.
Relying on voice memos. And for me, it's always in the car. It is always in the car.
Yeah.
Where every idea comes, and like those songs that are unfinished or a riff or something, a piece of something, I go, oh, wait a minute. And it's always while I'm driving. So I got to do a voice memo, and there's some hilarious moments at stoplights. People pulling up next to me, and I'm just, like, and then the drums go like this, boom, 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 like whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just like trying to like say it loud enough to where can hear me on the phone. But yeah, that's, it's somebody, I come kind of from the other end of it where it's like, all right, this song has to be done today or by this date. And, you know, the option of it just being like, well, it just didn't work. It's not in the cards, you know. But
it's rare. But like I have one that is going to be on the album that I'm currently working on that I wrote as like a hired gun piece for basically someone hired me to write a theme song for a video game.
oh, cool.
And I had, you know, very clear direction. Like, this is what the game's about. This is what we kind of want you to, you know, capture in the song. But they gave me a lot of freedom as well. And so I wrote that on a deadline, essentially. And at first I was pretty sure like it meant something different than what it has like become for me. And now the song has like a really rich meaning, and I love the song, but it's completely different from like why I wrote the song. And so that song has now become something that is inspirational enough that I want, you know, I really want to include it on my next album. So
yeah, I mean, that's the magic right there.
Yeah.
Is when something can become over time something different, and then especially when it's something very different but very relatable among different people over time. And then as their life change, that music also changes. That, I mean, that's the kind of magic thing that doesn't always happen. I mean, It's not always magic, you know, like, and I think that's the thing for me is that I'm now in a position in life where I want to find the inspiration. It's become now harder for me especially for kind of just for me, songs that are just for me, playing guitar just for me, has kind of gone away. So in my pursuit to find that again, I'm trying to learn about all of my friends. They're all over the country who are writing songs in different capacities, playing music in different capacities. And where does their inspiration come from? And then just and see if that can work for me, you know?
Yeah. So is this an AI prompt? Did you ask ChatGPT, what should I do? And it was like, you need to start an interview series and get inspiration from everybody.
No, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, and I'm just trying things. And ultimately, it's really cool for me to get to work with companies and do videos for products, and I'm actively trying to do more of those and turn that into more of a monetize, like stable monetization.
Yeah.
But really what I want to do is get all of the moments from being on a bus tour or a van tour without having to do that.
Yeah.
I just want to talk with my friends, and ultimately, you know, I kind of feel like I don't know what I'm doing. For me, it's like the next thing, and boy, I hope work keeps coming.
Yeah.
And then it's just that for the last 10 years. So what I really miss is the like hang and the learning about other people's relationship with music, because it's a lot to have in common with somebody.
Right.
You know, like to know about the gear besides the gross capitalism part of it, but that was important to me as a kid. And there's a lot of people that it was like knowing that was a Fender Strat was something.
Yeah.
It was something more than knowing what a product's name or code is. It's like, this is what I care about. This is how I spend my time. And that sometimes leads people to do that for their job and whatever. And then they don't love it as much. And then
Yeah.
some people hold on to that for the rest of their lives and spend their lives just like nerding out and geeking out about it because they love it and they love the culture. So that's the kind of thing that I'm like, it feels wrong to not talk about it. So I just want to talk about it and get that hanging out in the bus, shooting the shit, and then being like, oh, did you see that pedal that just came out? You know, like that kind of thing, you know,
Yeah.
like that's what I want to get back, that I feel like I've lost over time.
Okay.
But no, it's not prompted. It's like I do everything, which is just last minute. I'm like, oh shit, I need to figure this out. And then I create a notes app. Like, you know,
Yeah. That's how I do everything too.
I mean, I try to do better than that, but I mean,
yeah. I once said, like, my whole life has been throwing shit up against a wall to see what sticks, but apparently my diet is too full of fiber because nothing ever does. It all just bounces right off.
Okay, so one of the questions I had is very on topic with this. And let me read it because I stumble over my words all the time. Okay. What has music meant to you throughout your life, and how has it changed over time?
Oh man, you got to send these questions ahead of time. You can't just throw that gem on somebody. What has music meant to me throughout my life, and how has it changed over time? So, from a very young age, I was very interested in music. I come from a somewhat musical family. And I think right off the bat, I connected to the expression of emotion in music, maybe quicker than I did things like lyrics or stuff like that. And it's always, and I think this is the same for a lot of people, but it's been an emotional guide. It's almost been like that therapist that is just, on the radio. I can like turn the radio on and go to my favorite station, and especially when I was a teenager, hear like Silverchair play a song, and all of a sudden feel like everything that I've been feeling has been expressed, and I can move on, with my life. But as I've become a music creator, and not just like a writer, and not just like, I was in band and whatnot, but you're just kind of playing what you're given to play.
Yeah.
So when I started becoming a creator and exploring the ways to like get out those emotions, which I'm horrible at expressing in real life because I'm a child of the 80s, who, for better or worse, was essentially taught that emotions, or at least expressing emotions, is not a good thing for a male to do. So I learned very quickly to like shut everything down, and music became that the only way to express something that I was feeling. And interestingly enough, I think it started with lyrics. When I first started songwriting, it was just like, I want to say lyrically what I'm trying to say. But as I've been doing this now for like, I've been writing songs for, I guess, over 20 years. it has shifted to a musical expression. Like the thing I'm really trying to capture most of the time now is the emotion that I'm feeling in the music. And also in my voice, like that's something that I have really been focusing on lately, is almost not so much worrying about whether or not a vocal is perfect, but does it capture the emotion that I'm trying to convey? And again, like, it's really hard for someone who's so disconnected from their emotions to like learn how to do that. So I guess it's always been an emotional thing for me, but it has shifted in how I engage with it. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't send them ahead of time. It does put a little pressure on you, and I apologize for that. But like,
well, you get a lot of ums and likes and stuff.
But that's fine. It's better than if I send them ahead of time. Here's what I worry about, because I know what I would do is I would try to come up with the answer that does sound intelligent and thought about, and maybe best represents me or how I want to be portrayed. And I don't think those are negative or bad things.
Right.
But that, I'm a small YouTube channel, and really, I want to talk about real people who do music for all different kinds of reasons, because there's, 15,000 other people that can relate to that. And I know I can relate to, as I've gotten older and as my relationship with music and my relationship with my own emotions has evolved.
Mm-hmm.
My voice has been the crux. It's I tried probably 3 or 4 different voices before I just let myself sing.
Yeah.
And it was because I was afraid, and it was like I felt like I could maybe mask it, and I didn't really like it. And when you're young, and like, also my voice isn't, you don't hear my voice and think knuckle tattoos, and I think that I was intimidated by that, and I tried to mask it all. And, it's like, I'm the 70 take wonder on the vocals, because it's like, oh, there's this one little thing. And, just being able to let go of that and go, well, was the vibe there? Was I in the right space in my head? And can you hear that? That's way more important than, did I execute every note, excellently? And that's some real wisdom that you're speaking there. And I'm going, yep, I still need to do more of that.
Yeah. Well, I think when you listen to the people that we kind of consider to be like the greatest vocalists, the thing that they really do well is emotion.
Yeah.
Like it's and I'm not the biggest Adele fan, but I recognize how great she is. And yes, she has like maybe a nearly flawless voice, but that's not why we love her. We love her because she can sing a single note that almost makes you cry.
Yeah, it's that feeling that you can get. In all kinds of things can do that. It can even be a sample.
Mm-hmm.
And listening back, as I listened through all the stuff that's on Spotify, all the singles, there's a core soul in every track that I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that there is a variety of textures, between your songs. Fa, fa, fa fa fa
That's,
is
that's the different one.
is so fun though. Like it's so fun, and then the lyrics come in and take you like you kind of have to bring somebody by the hand to go like, no, this is what the song's about.
Yeah.
And that like dissonance between how you initially feel with that intro and then what the core of the song is about, I think that's the like complexity, that's the texture there that is really unique. How do you think about things like, even down to how a kick drum sounds and the unique textures that were in Streets of New York for the tracking of that? How do you think about those in an emotional way?
Yeah. Okay. So the drums, especially on Streets of New York, but also on Slave Owners Gospel,
Yep.
were really important to the song. They were almost in Streets of New York. It was almost, we didn't track them first, but it was one of the first things I wanted to get out of the way because I wanted them to set the vibe for the whole song. Specifically like a loop, that, so I'm really bad. I'm not a drummer. I'm extremely horrible at communicating what I want a drum to be, or a drum track to be. And I lean really heavily on one of my best friends and drummer. His name is Jacob Briggs, and he lives in Richmond, Virginia. I'm in Nashville. He used to live here, but he moved away several years ago, and we still make music together. And he's got a drum studio there, and God bless him, he has learned to speak my drum language, I guess. But I also know that I can just rely on him to say something stupid like, I want it to make you feel really uneasy and be a bit haunting, and then say, get really like Tom Waits on it or something.
Yeah.
and he can kind of interpret that and do some weird stuff. Like with Streets of New York, a lot of the sounds are not traditional sounds. Like he took the bass drum part is a kick with another kick drum set up in front of it, but on its side, with a bunch of beer bottle caps laying along the top of it, so that when he kicks the kick drum, the bottle caps rattle on the drum head of the other bass drum. And I don't know how he mic'd that exactly, but I'm sure he's got like one mic on the bottle caps and another on the kick.
Yeah.
But now that the kick throughout the entire song just kind of like rattles on you, like it's deep and it's thumpy, but it also like just kind of like shakes you and feels weird. And then like he did some screeches, like just dragging the butt end of a stick across cymbals, and like reverbed up some wine bottles and was hitting like wine bottles and basically just creating this like atmosphere with the drum track. And yeah, I mean, again, some of that is like, I have this thing where I'm like, this is the vibe, but a lot of that is just him, like being able to run with it and deliver something that sounds super cool and matches the vibe that I kind of want.
Yeah. Man, yeah. Well, in the bottle cap, there's a cool video clip of that on your Instagram.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, those are the textures that, like, those make you feel a way. And, you know, in a really good song, in the context of these songs, they support or create some intentional dissonance there, which I think can, more than anything, that uncomfortable feeling can maybe set you up to even be able to receive what the hell the song's about.
Right.
Because a lot of, I mean, it's hard. You're competing against an infinite number of emotions and distractions and other songs. And the second, like 2 seconds into a song, most people have expectations,
Right.
And so it's really hard to like get to the point without doing something maybe disruptive. And uncomfortable, uncomfortability can be really disruptive, but it's really tricky to do that without it being so distracting and disengaging that you hit the next button, and that's a hard balance, but I feel like every one of your songs has that, whether it's Oh Holy Night in reverse, which is really uncomfortable, but beautiful and relatable, and it's words backwards, to Slave Owner's Gospel, to the sad song, to Streets of New York, and then Trouble and Truth. Like there's this dissonance that feels comfortable though. And it's really well executed.
Yeah.
And is like, how intentional are you about trying to set the listener up to receive the message?
I think that's one of the more intentional ways that I approach, at least recording, but even with the songwriting, I think, I'm super intentional about it. I really want, like I was saying earlier, like I want every part of it to serve the greater purpose of the song. Like I don't want to necessarily just like set up. So Fa, for example, which is an Otis Redding cover. So the record that is off of is one of my all-time favorite records. It's called Dictionary of Soul. And Otis does it a little slower. But I always just felt good when I listened to that song, even though like I know that like Otis was telling the story of the blues. Like why are the blues, why are sad songs, which is something I've been obsessed with my whole life. Like my favorite songs are like I Can't Make You Love Me by Bonnie Raitt. And just anything like that is going to make me like straight up cry again, searching for emotions that I wasn't allowed to express. So I loved the idea of like taking something that was sad and making it feel good, but you still have to like grapple with what the sadness is there for. Like in Fa, I think, I'm not Otis, but I think that his point was the blues are there for our community to help us feel good, to comfort us. And so you were talking about comfort earlier, and I think that's like always a really intentional part of what I try to do, even when I'm trying to move a listener into an uncomfortable place. It's all to serve the purpose of like helping bring about some sort of comfort out of that. So I don't know
Yeah.
if that answers the question.
No, yeah, it totally does. I mean, like, it makes sense. The journey to get to a place of being comforted often is uncomfortable.
Right.
And you know, that's that journey that I feel like, you know, that's the journey that feels familiar, and maybe that's the soul. I mean, beyond that, I think you have a very soulful voice in genre and style, but I think that's the soul that I think carries over for each song to me. That's the thing that is like a common thread throughout, is that it I know that I'm gonna feel like, yeah, you know, I felt that before.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a familiar feeling, even if it's not a great feeling. There's something comforting about, like, oh, I'm not the only one
Yeah.
who's felt this way. I'm not the only one who thinks this is bullshit, who thinks this is incredible and magic, you know, like all the variety of things that can be relatable, you know, which is everything, you know, of course, but like, to know that someone else's experience has been similar to mine, and to get that, you know, the vehicle to feel that are these songs. To me, that's the magic.
Yeah.
You know?
Same. I think one of the like greatest compliments that I say received. I don't even know that it was necessarily a compliment, but I took it as a compliment. It wasn't negative. It was just someone letting me know that so Streets of New York, someone messaged me and they were like, look, I'm dense. I've been listening to this song on repeat all night long, and I just want to know, like, what is it about? Like, aside from the story, because essentially it's a murder song. It's a song about murder, like taking inspiration from like some Edgar Allan Poe Telltale Heart stuff. And so I wrote him back and I was like, well, it's a song about like losing the faith of your youth, like killing off the faith that you were handed from your father in the case of the song, but and just the turmoil and the anger that comes along with that, because it's an extremely painful process. And that's what I was trying to capture in that song. And then he was just like, crap, like, I think that's why I was listening to it so much, because like there was something very like, it's like I've been there, and there was something so cathartic about listening to that song. And so for me, it's like he didn't even really know what the song was about, and he kind of still understood it. And that, to me, that's pretty magical. I know that's not going to happen all the time.
No, but
when it does, it's like you and me were like, we're soul brothers now, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, that is the magic, you know, and to have that feedback, you know, I think is invaluable, you know, and I don't think that many people know what it's like if they've never let their heart be on their sleeve and then kind of just like publish a piece of art. That kind of vulnerability is something. Now, of course, you can release music and it not be a vulnerable expression at all, but like, I would say oftentimes it is.
yeah.
And especially if you're talking about, I almost said real people, but if you're talking about dudes like you and me,
Yeah, real people.
I mean, like, yeah, I got to find a better way to say that. But like, it's, like I'm not releasing a song because I'm meeting my, label's requirements for releasing. I'm releasing something because I believe in it.
Yeah.
And it's also something that I'm going, I'm going to put this out there and you may or may not get it. And it may fall flat on its face, but to have that confirmation for somebody to say, oh, that's why I was listening to it.
Yeah.
Because there's a pain that I do feel that feels familiar, but I don't know what the hell it is. So much so that they had to ask you, but like that's the kind of interaction, that's the kind of confirmation that to me makes it all worth it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
That like that's the, and not that the reason to release music is to get compliments, but it's to relate.
It's connection. Yeah.
Yeah. Connection. It's about people. Life is about relationships, and whatever can make somebody feel known.
Yeah. And the fame is good too. I mean, the fame's great too.
Yeah. Would love it.
I just don't. Yeah. I am lucky enough to have a label that lets me do whatever the hell I want and release whatever song I want. And that's awesome. Unfortunately, that label is just me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're very accommodating to me.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. My label is great. The pay is shit.
Yes.
The perks and benefits, not so much. But I do get to do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know. It's magic. I don't want to keep saying that, but I mean, like that it is.
It's an illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not magic. They're not tricks.
Yeah. I mean, it's that that's more real, than a lot of things. That kind of interaction with somebody. And maybe it's just me, but I feel like I haven't felt like those are the kind of conversations that I'm having every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I would like for that to be the case. The more of those kinds of conversations, the more these kinds of conversations that can happen, I think is better, at least for me. And hopefully somebody watches and goes, oh yeah, I felt that too. Because that's how I feel when I listen to a podcast and those dudes don't know me.
Right.
But it's like,
oh, I'm best friends with some of the podcasters I listen to. They don't know me at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But it's like, it's, we all live in the world that we have created, really. And I want to try to like take a step back from just consuming, and filling my life. And I think that that's a really bad habit that I've picked up. And I think it was really easy to pick up in the last couple of years, is to just like constantly just consume things. And so, you can't fill your life with something that wasn't there before without pushing other things to the edge. And I feel like, I've kind of come to the realization that, I've been suffering the consequences of that. So I got to do something different, and that, I think that, going back to earlier, that's why I started doing these interviews. I've never interviewed somebody in my life before I did it the first time on YouTube,
yeah.
And I have no idea what I'm doing, but I just go, I just feel like I have to do this for me. For nobody else, but for me,
It's a great reason to do it too. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's all the questions I had. We kind of covered everything that I specifically wrote down. And also, what kind of time are you working with? Because I know we're coming at an hour right now.
I mean, I'm pretty wide open.
Okay.
Yeah, I can go a little longer. I don't have anywhere to be necessarily.
Yeah. Cool. Is there anything that you want to specifically plug?
I
I
mean, join my mailing list.
it's snail mail, right?
Oh wait, which one is Snell? That's like through the post office, right?
Yeah.
I wish it was. I did for a little while. I did this thing again, going back to like throwing shit up against the wall. This was a long time ago.
No wonder you had to redo your studio.
Right. I shit everywhere. I did do a physical mailing list where I had maybe 40 people like give me their address, and I would send I'd make them like a handmade postcard for their birthday, and send it out. And then I tried to do like little things here and there. Like maybe I ordered a bunch of stickers or something. I'd like throw a sticker in the mail for everyone I had an address for. And I did that for maybe a year, and then just kind of it also kind of coincided with when I quit music for a little bit. So I got out of that and just never went back. And now I feel like if I just sent something to some of these people, they either A, don't live there anymore, or B, are going to be like, who in the hell is this guy? Like,
I think, well, okay. I've got a couple things there. One, and again, any of this can be cut.
Fuck.
But
shit. Mother. Don't cut that part.
Yeah, don't. Hey, can you leave this in real quick? Bitch. I want to know about that time of quitting music.
Yeah, so the quitting part was tied up around the same thing that so if you're a musician, and I think it's almost universal, but if you're a musician, especially someone who has like tried to make a career of it, at some point you realize that you're fucking insane.
Yeah.
And you don't know why that you chose this as a career path, and you're near positive that it's never going to happen, and you just come to terms with that. And that, of course, happened to me. It happened, unfortunately, at the same time that my first daughter was born, which was a month after my wife and I, who did music together, which we still do, but now it's like mostly driven by me. Before it was like very clearly the two of us. And so we released a record and then had a baby a month apart. And back then, the only way that we knew how to make money and pay some bills was to be on the road selling physical albums, because that still happened back then. And some people tell me it still happens now, but I'm not on the road anymore, so I don't know. I don't know if that's true. But so we never toured this record because we had a child, and we were naive, and we were like, oh, we'll like just take a baby on the road. and very quickly we learned that wasn't going to happen. And and slowly over time, all of the like plans that I had to do music just became more and more difficult. And I don't even remember exactly when it was, but at one point I realized that I hadn't played guitar in 3 months. I hadn't touched an instrument in 3 months. And this was like 12 to 13 years ago now. And instead of thinking to myself, like, I need to pick up my guitar and play something, I thought, I wonder how long I can go. And I just kept going. And I think around the 6-month mark, I was like, maybe I should just sell everything. Like, so then it's not even a temptation. Like if I just sell my guitar and then I can just not play it again. And my wife thankfully talked me out of that. She was like, no, you're going to regret it. If you sell your stuff, you're going to regret it. One day you're going to want to play again. And so I held on to it, but I went almost a full year.
Wow.
Without even touching an instrument. And I had a friend coming into town who wanted to play a show and had like a venue cancel on him. And so he was like, can we do a house show at your place? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And then he's like, and you're going to open. And I said, no, I haven't played in almost a year. And he's like, no, you're going to open. Like, and so that's what got me back into it. And I was like, all right, I got to pick this guitar up and shake off some rust and get through this house show at my house with people that I know.
Which is way harder.
Well, yes.
It's harder.
It was then. It was then. Now that I don't play very often, strangers are hard too. But anyway, yeah, I got super depressed and I was like, this is never going to happen. So why even bother with it? And it was that show that made me realize, like, oh, I actually just kind of love this, you know? I love playing songs for people, and it's like just basic. Like one of the things what got me writing songs in the first place was seeing a singer-songwriter named Dana Cooper play in this really small, intimate venue in Houston, which is where I'm from. And I mean, like 20 people in the room, probably. And it was just him on a stage with his acoustic guitar, and he was singing his songs. Like, they weren't covers. You know, I'd been in cover bands up to that point. But I was like, wait, you can do this. Like, you can write a song and sing it for someone and they'll listen to it. And I was like, that's all I really want out of all of this. And it was, you know, doing that again was one of the things that was like, oh yeah, I can do this and find enjoyment out of it. And from that point, it was just a really slow process to get back to where I was writing again, and realizing that I can create just to create and not have like this, I need to pay bills. I need to make a career out of this. I would love a career out of this, but I think I've definitely reached the stage of life as a musician that I'm just thankful to be able to do it. And if something happens and I can like make a living playing 20 to 30 seat house shows and venues with my guitar, even better. But the fact that I can like tell my story and connect with people through music is like really all I'm shooting for right now.
Yeah.
And it took a long time to get there. Took a long time. And those little like, you're not good enough, you're not gonna make it. Your songs are too niche. Niche. Which one makes me sound less like an asshole?
Yeah, I always wonder. And I've got such an accent that it just sounds really stupid. No matter
niche.
Niche. What's your niche?
Speaking of when AI was my social media manager, one of the things that I did with ChatGPT was I just fed it all this information about me and had it analyze like a lot of my song lyrics, a lot of like stuff that I've written, like blog posts, and just said like, you tell me who I am and as a musician. And because it didn't have, it was trained on information. Well, I've never been famous enough for it to even like know who I am. Right. So if I just ask ChatGPT, it's like, I don't know who the hell you are. So I gave it all this info and it came back and it like just nailed a bunch of stuff. And then it was like, and I asked for like my strengths and my weaknesses as an artist. And like the weakness, like it was just like, it's going to be a really hard time finding an audience because you're like hyper focused on like stuff that is not super mainstream. So
but that's, I mean, there's a lot of freedom, and I can tell that it's been a journey with a lot of depth to it to get to the point to where you are today. But there's a lot of freedom in that because, I mean, like, what does make it even mean? Like, and where did those goals and expectations come from? But, or were they really goals that you would have in other circumstances, or are the circumstances that you were born into dictating what your life goals are and mission and all that? And to come to a place to where you can be as honest as you're being, and I appreciate that, and that's something that I want to strive more and more towards, to be like, if something more happens, of course that would be amazing. I'm not going to pretend like I wouldn't prefer that, but like in some ways, but like to be able to be content and know that like the goal is to relate to people in this niche. That is inspiring, to be honest. I mean, like, that's inspiring. That's what people can relate to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I cannot relate to Steve Vai at all. I mean, like, at all. I'm not sure that we're the same animal. You know what I mean? Like, just for so many reasons. But I can relate to, man, I would love to like make it, whatever that means. But if I can just and that be the goal, I don't know. There's a lot of freedom in that.
Yeah. It's definitely enough to keep doing. Like it's that's all that you need to like find value in all of this, the conversation, the music, the connection. Like that connection is valuable in and of itself.
Yeah.
And it's enough to to going back to inspiration, like it's enough to be the inspiration to continue it. And like, I hope that people's wallets also connect with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they don't have to. And I'm still gonna do it, you know?
Yeah.
Until I get depressed and quit again. But
Yeah.
then I'm gonna come back.
Yeah. I mean, and you said this earlier, like, I think it does come a point in your life. And as like 10 years ago, I would have told you, like, fuck you. I will never get to a place to where, but now I wake up every day, you know, walk in the bathroom, look in the mirror and go, you are a fucking idiot. And then I come in here and, you know, try to make $1. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is dumb. It's real dumb to pursue art for a living. And I think mostly because there is no one way. There is no right way to do it. And if you really look too far into it or think about it for too long, you're going to come up with answers that, you know, contradict themselves. And I think maybe it's not about, you know, what you do or what defines what do you do. Because it's like, I do whatever I can to survive, to pay bills, to do the things that I love and am passionate about. You know, it's how do you fill your time? And that's what matters. And if there's something tangible that you can show for what you spend your time on, then awesome.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets something tangible to show for it, you know? But you know, that's more of a sustainable mindset than, boy, if I don't X, Y, and Z, then I just need to quit. You know, like, you set all these, at least I've set all these expectations in the past for myself, you know, that are unachievable.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, 16-year-old me would be so pissed at me now, having the room and the space that I'm in, you know, and to be honest, the life that I live right now, you know, 16-year-old me would be so pissed that I wasn't just like so stoked every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait a minute. You twist knobs and strum strings. Like, are you kidding me? Stop being depressed, you asshole. You're living the dream.
Yeah. No, yeah.
That's younger us. And then the older us are just like,
Yeah. But, you know, like, I think that there's something about, like, how can I get some of that back? Some of that ignorant, like, just pleasure from music, gear, how I spend my time, just enjoying it, not thinking about what this means for the next 5 years of my life. You know, like, if I can have a little more of that and find that, you know, inspiration that just came automatically in the past and now it doesn't. So I can either do something about it or not.
Yeah.
And going back to what we were talking about, you know, like, I really try, and I do try to be real prepared and not do things last minute. But at the end of the day, there is doing and not doing. And when it comes time to do, I just do it. And if it's not time to do it, I'm not going to do it yet. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to function any other way. But I think that's, you know, we've really covered what we think life is about today.
Right.
Like,
No. You know, the meaning of life. I forget who said it first or but I think it was maybe where I first heard it was, man, what is Sean Carroll? He is a astrophysicist.
yeah.
Is the meaning of life, and he's not the originator of this, but the meaning of life is to hydroxynate wait, no. Oh crap. I don't know. My physics nerdiness is dying. But essentially all we're here to do is like chemical reactions.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing else. But yet we're deriving meaning everywhere from that. So maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But at the very least, I will serve that purpose.
Yeah.
Like I will contribute something great to the universe. If only through my biology.
Yeah.
And that's fucking amazing.
I sent us down a whole rabbit hole with the whole snail mail thing. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot all about that.
yeah. So what's the best way to support you and to keep up to date with like stuff you're doing?
Yeah. So go to my website. My name's impossible to spell, but I'm sure it's going to be here somewhere. You may even see it right there.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, that is real weird.
It is weird. Yeah. But jdewveall.com, the letter J, Dewveall is my last name. Yes, that's how you say it. And you can sign up for my email list there. And that's really it. Oh, I've got a Discord community that like 20 people are in, and every once in a while someone says something. So if you're a Discord person, get on there and like make the rest of us be active. So those are the two things that I can say right off the bat. I'm freaking cringe and hilarious on TikTok, so you can follow me on TikTok too. I don't like the other ones, but TikTok is a blast. And yeah, I don't know. That's it. Open your wallets up to me. No, not really, but please.
Yeah.
Yeah, just connect. You know, we've talked about connection. That's what I really want, or is just someone. Yeah. If anything in this conversation has resonated with you, like, come connect with me, connect with Colin, because we're very similar on a lot of those things. So
yeah,